Hello and welcome to Queen Mary Questions, the show that allows you, the students, to ask prominent figures in Queen Mary whatever you like.
Hello, I'm Chloe and I'm here with Yaz, President of Queen Mary Student Union. Okay, Yaz, so we'll start off with a question submitted through our web form.
Yep.
Free speech is a demanding issue today, with the Student Council voting for campus shops not to sell certain tabloids, and more recently, certain societies at Queen Mary demanding that speakers they disagree with be no platformed and banned from campus. What do you do to protect the freedom of speech and expression at Queen Mary?
Look, there's always going to be this sort of furore over freedom of speech across unions and everything like that. So I think the first thing that we'll say is here at the SU we don't have a no platform policy, so we are free to pick whatever external speakers that they require. Whatever goes on campus goes on campus. The same way if there is a protest, they're allowed to protest. And then the next bit is, whilst at Student Council last year that decision was made, that doesn't reflect the Student Council or the student body this year as well. There's always a generation sense of sort of, not division, but there's always a new set of part-time officers, a new set of sabbatical officers alike. So I can't really comment on what happened last year about that banning of tabloids, so to speak. But what I can say is that we do understand the importance of freedom of speech, and we do our utmost to uphold that across the variety of societies, student groups, as well as the activities that they do on campus.
During your election campaign, you had concerns surrounding SU accountability and bureaucracy, and said that you wanted to make QMSU more accessible. For example, live streaming student council meetings so students were aware of the decisions made. What steps have you taken to increase transparency?
So I think there's a number of things that we've done off the scenes and things that I've done through council as well that have made it a little bit more streamlined. Essentially what's happened is council has become a debating echo chamber a lot of the time. So they debate things based off of, they just think that once they pass motions, for example, then there isn't a sense of idea where that goes or if there's had any lasting impact. So one thing that we've done is, once a motion has gone through, we sit down and we go, okay, who's the SAB who will probably be pushing this forward on a lobbying capacity with the university or something that occurs within house in the union to try and implement. And then after that we track it and we update council in the following student council date meeting, basically. So there's that we've done to increase transparency between the union and the part-time officers, which I think is really important. The next thing that we've done is little things. So we've upped our game on social media. You've been aware of the stuff about the Hive and how it's a massive success. We've now gone through the process of renaming the Hive, which we've opened it up to all students. So we send it out on our variety of social media forums like Facebook and Twitter and everything like that. So we're giving students the opportunity to actually have a say in what a name should be of an actual building, and that's something really empowering. And I understand it's a bit like, oh, why is it, like, it's just a name. It's not just a name, it has a lot of resonance for a lot of students anyways. And if you see the norm coming around with buildings like Mason Lecture, Francis Bancroft and everything like that, I mean, let's be real, they're dull, they're boring, and they don't really scream out anything to do with Queen Mary. So we're in a very valuable position here to have the opportunity to allow our student body to make that decision. And we've got an AMM going on the 27th of February, which is hopefully going to ratify our Articles of Association, which is basically like our constitution as a union. And the students who show up to that will be able to have the opportunity to then be like, yeah, I've had a say in the way that the union's formulated as a constitution, and then comes with all the other different motions that come out of it in the AGM, sorry. So stuff around the UCU strike, stuff around other things, bits and pieces there. So we're doing a lot, and I understand that last year my campaign was based on that idea of increasing transparency, and I feel like this year I've done the utmost to achieve that. There are obviously things that have been difficult to do, which we'll come on to later on with the sort of QMBL relationship and everything like that, and I could have strengthened that a little bit more, but understandably there were priorities this year, and the things that I've achieved this year compared to my predecessors, I think I've done a good job.
So following on from that, there were reports of a somewhat uneasy transition over the summer from the last executive team to the current one. What infrastructure are you putting into place to avoid a similar fiasco, so as to avoid disruption for students?
Okay, I have no idea where this has come from, I'll be honest with you. I think there's always ways to improve transition periods anyways, and I think the next incoming sabbatical officers team will look at the ways that our induction process was done, the good things, the bad things, and then what we'll do is we'll assess it and be like, okay, we'll improve here, improve there. I don't want people to assume that there's a disruption for students in terms of the relationship that sabbatical officers have. I don't think that was the case. I think we're working fine as it is.
So just a case of learning each time, not necessarily from a huge problem.
It's not like there was a problem. Yeah, I mean, look, if you were to plan something and you're with your best friends or everything like that, there will still be problems with the plan because there'll be things that you want to improve. Same thing.
So your manifesto stated that you wanted to facilitate an autonomous and supportive relationship between BLSA and QMSU by holding drop-in sessions at BARTs and clarifying the impact of the student council motions on BL students.
Yeah, okay.
How have you sought to improve the relationship this year?
So I'll be real, the parts about being at Whitechapel and stuff like that haven't been as consistent as I'd like it to be, anywhere near, and I'll be the first to admit that. But the things that I've done in terms of facilitating that autonomous relationship with BL is we've secured rights of passage again for a consecutive year. The time in which that they were set, we gave it to them. We've also facilitated conversations regarding their sports clubs, their societies to be autonomous in the sense that the things that go on at BL stay in BL. And I've just facilitated an autonomous conversation. I feel like if they have issues to want to be addressed, they chat to me about it and then we deal with it from there.
So you feel like overall you've closed the gap that people have perceived?
There is so this is the thing, everyone talks about this gap, right? And I think, so I genuinely think that the perception is based off of something systemic. So I think a lot of the issues that come about are through our democratic functions and everything like that. And we've recently released a strategy plan, and in that strategy plan we've outlined the need to address the issues that Barton and London face, along with all our other members in our diverse membership, commuter students, BME students alike. So in there we've stated that these are some of the things that we need to look at, and this perception stuff needs to be gone, because there is a perception, everyone has this, and it's something visible as well. It's like, okay, we're in Whitechapel, we're in Myland, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a conflict of interest here. And in the strategy plan, the thing that we were looking at is our democracy review and seeing how our bylaws facilitate that working relationship more, because I don't think that structurally, they've been beneficial to the relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The QM model has been rolled out as of this academic year, which is a new initiative designed to help students build skills outside of their degree. And you were keen to work with the university on the implementation of the model to address issues like the black and ethnic minority attainment gap, which you mentioned earlier. How has the SU been involved with this?
We've been heavily involved in a lot of those conversations, so I can't even stress how involved we've been, to the point where now what we're doing is we're writing up a union statement about our position on the model. So we've been attending networking events where departments have showed up and showed exactly what modules that they're looking to roll out as part of the QM model. We've had conversations with the Vice Principal, Rebecca Lingwood, of Teaching and Learning, just to see exactly where the union fits into things when it comes to the QM model relating to our employability section and everything like that. And what we've done is we've also been in the sort of operation side of it. It was a manifesto point for me then, because I saw the interest in it and being an opportunity then to tackle the black and minority ethnic attainment gap that we have, particularly from our results that we've seen from the engagement, retention and success team. It shows that in HSS specifically, and this is to do with first class honours, not 2-1s or anything like that, there's a significant gap between black and minority ethnic students in getting a first in HSS compared to people who are white and getting a first instead in HSS specifically. So we're looking at that, the QM model, as a means to address that.
So international students face various issues such as fluctuating tuition fees and uncertainty surrounding their status during Brexit. So what support has QMSU provided to them this year?
Across the board, every time when we talk about international students, I think tuition fees and their fluctuation in fees always rises up. I think that's a lobbying thing that the union have to do to facilitate that and lobby the university to ensure that they're being adequately treated and they feel that their voice is being heard. And I think that we consistently wish to do that, and we consistently do so. We've been empowering our part-time officers a lot more this year in our student council, so they are actually leading on a number of different events and things that they're doing. So our international students like Shitij from Myland has and created an international society where all of the issues come together, and if there are any things that come through, they come through to us. Because let's face it, stuff about Brexit, stuff about international students isn't just affecting us on campus or here at Queen Mary, it's affecting every international student across universities in the UK.
So the zero tolerance policy to bullying and sexual harassment
Yes.
That's launching this month, what do you hope comes out of that?
Some may be aware that a couple of years ago there was a zero tolerance campaign, actually similar here. 2 years ago, from our Vice President of Welfare, we launched a zero tolerance campaign tackling forms of sexual harassment. And it was a really good raising awareness campaign, and it popped off. Everyone was aware of it.
Yeah.
And we had pledge cards outside, we even had the principal then signing it and everything like that. And then I remember I saw it and I was aware of it, and it was massive, and I was like, this is sick. And then, because I felt like it was an issue, and as a student as well, if you recognise that it's an issue, you want to see something done about it. And we saw this campaign, the raising awareness one, and I was like, great. But then after that, it just sort of petered out a bit, and I was just like, so then what's been done about it? So then recently, in my manifesto last year, I was like, this is something that I want to address, and I'm glad that we're launching a campaign on the 26th with the university to do this collectively. So now it's not only tackling forms of sexual harassment, but forms of bullying, forms of discrimination and racism and everything along those lines. And I think that's that's hugely beneficial given today's context of society at the moment anyways, where there are so many different dynamics of power that's oppressing various different people across across our membership, not only on a communal level in university, but also outside. So we want to tackle this and have a zero tolerance attitude to these forms of harassment and everything like that. And one thing that I want to do to change it is just change that behavioural norm. So the little catcalling, the little wolf whistling, the words that you say, the things that you're like, oh, it's just banter or anything like that. Those things are just, in my opinion, I think they're hideous, and I think there's no place for them at all. And I think those are the things that we need to be very strong and firm on. And the alternative argument, we're always referring to that, but you're like, but it was just banter, or it was just, this is my freedom of speech and everything like that. But clearly, this is something that's influencing this societal, like the custom of sexual harassment and bullying and discrimination, and it leads to that oppression and power dynamic shifting. And I think it's something that we need to tackle. And I think what we're doing on the 26th is a number of different things from the union level, and with this dignity policy that the university is creating now to be the linchpin between the campaign, to ensure that what we're actually doing is impactful. It's not just a raising awareness thing, because this was great because it raised awareness of the issues, but we didn't really have a supporting mechanism, procedure or anything along those lines. And I'm just really glad that we've got this going on now, and I hope this is no longer going to be just a campaign. This will be embedded within our student groups, our sports clubs, our societies, the way that we act in not only on campus but in the wider world.
So not only a continued awareness as before, so obviously as you said you kind of noticed it and thought it was great, but then nothing really happened. What do you actually want to get into people's mindsets here and tell them actually you need to sort of change banter behaviour. You need to recognise that's an issue. What
we've got now are consent workshops that we're introducing to our societies and student groups. So we've got next year what we've wanted to achieve in our sports clubs is welfare related officers, so that there's a point of contact for people to go to. We've got a clear procedure outlined for when something does happen. You have dignity disclosure officers for you to be able to talk to and say this is what's going on and affecting me and everything like that. We want people to feel safe on our campus, and we want to change the behaviour that we have and this culture that we have, because I think it's sinister. It's something that's not been tackled enough. This doesn't end when it starts on the 26th. No. It's not like when it's launched, yes, that's it, we're zero tolerance. It's not like a tick box exercise. This is something that's going to go on for a number of years, and it's changing a behaviour which takes a long period of time.
And hopefully infiltrate throughout the wider community as well, not just Queen Mary.
Yeah, 100%.
So 100%. Your action plan states that you've been working on a sports strategy with the university. What has come out of this, and how will it encourage student participation in sport? So
sports has always been, in our opinion, integral to student experience. So we conducted rubric data last year, and a lot of it came out of some of the findings of our membership and where we needed to tackle it, and a lot of it comes back to our strategy plan. I feel like I just need to plug it. It's our strategy plan. Anyways, in the plan, what we did was all of this was evidence-based from our rubric data research, along with other things from our council and everything along those lines. Part of it talked about the issues of belonging. A lot of students felt that they needed that sense of belonging on campus for them to truly feel like they can be liberated and feel like they can actually excel in their education and have that confidence. Now I feel like sport is one that creates that sense of belonging, that camaraderie, everything along those lines. And not only that, it also builds that well-being, it alleviates stress, everything like that basically. And one of the things that we wanted to do is ensure that we get more funding from the university, because this is all union-led, like we do this all by ourselves, and we're reaching our optimum capacities here. We're at capacity on QMotion, we've got a number of different sports clubs, we've got a number of different sports leagues, we've got Get Active sessions, and we're doing everything at the moment, and I think it's great. What we want to do is take it the next step forward, because all of the issues of finances, resources, locations of matches, everything like that, what we want to do is find a way to make it easier for our students to get involved with them, because a lot of the factors stopping students from doing it raise around money and like distance, proximity to where the matches are and everything along those lines, and along with teaching, blah blah blah. So what we wanted to do is table that to the university. We're at a stage now, we're in a healthy stage now, where I think on the 13th of March we'll be tabling that sports strategy to the university and seeing where they see it. And we've already started that lobbying, saying that these are the things that we're doing. We brought it at College Council, at Senate, all of the different mechanisms that the university has, similar to the Student Council that we have, but on their level, to be like, this is something that we're going to table, so they're aware of it. And then hopefully what happens is that lobbying power we've done has been effective, and they'll be like, yeah, this is something that we endorse, and this is the future for what we hope to achieve. And then that will be a really great win for the union, because then we got more funding, we can allocate resources more effectively, because right now it's been a bit where we're just reaching capacity at the moment.
So finally,
yes.
What has been your favourite thing about being SU president?
It's been knowing when you know that you're not right, and being grateful and humble in the sense of being like, I don't know this, can someone help me with this? I think last year a lot of that campaign was all about, listen, the SU needs to change everything, our members need to be represented, and I still agree with that. My campaign was 100% right in that sense. But once I came in here, there were people who were working within the union who were already doing great things and I just wasn't aware of. I'm so grateful to be given this opportunity, because when you graduate, literally when you graduate, the first thing that you'll do is a postgrad job, or entry-level job and a postgrad scheme, right? And you'll be in a department where you're like the intern or an analyst or anything like that. Very rarely are you thrown into stuff where you've got to decide like strategy stuff, you got to represent the whole organisation, you got to like be a face of everything. I've just enjoyed the tense moments, the stressful moments, the moments when I've been wrong, because I know when I've been wrong, and I'm like, yes, I love that. Like that shows that you guys are doing your job, because you're holding to me to account. And the more you do it, the better it is for me, because then it's more personal development for me. And I hope that I've impacted everyone, even on a little level, and they might not know it. And I think that's my favourite moment, the idea that I've actually had an impact on everyone, and everyone's had an impact on me.
Thank you so much for answering people's questions.
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you very much.